Let me tell you something that might surprise you. She mentions another guy. Your mind races. Is she losing interest? Trying to make me jealous? Here's the truth from a woman's perspective. When she mentions other men, she's not doing what you think. And how you respond determines everything. Today, I'm breaking down what's really happening and how to handle it confidently to increase her respect instead of killing attraction. Let's get into it. Look, I'm going to be straight with you. Most men react to this situation in one of two ways. They either get visibly jealous and insecure, or they try way too hard to act like it doesn't bother them at all. And both responses, they reveal the exact same thing, that you're rattled. Here's what you need to understand. When a woman mentions another man, your response tells her more about you than her mention tells you about her. It reveals your confidence, your security, and whether or not you can be shaken. So today, I'm going to break down 6 different types of mentions. The innocent share, the attention test, the comparison mention, the mate value signal, the disinterest indicator, and the confidence framework that lets you handle all of them without losing your composure or your power. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what she's doing. When she drops another guy's name, you'll understand the psychology behind it. And most importantly, you'll have a clear framework for responding in a way that actually increases her respect for you, instead of making you look insecure. Let's start with the most common type, the innocent share. The innocent share is exactly what it sounds like. She's telling you about her day, her work, her life, and other people naturally come up in conversation. This includes men. And here's the thing. Not every mention is a test. Not every mention is strategic. Sometimes, she's just sharing her world with you. So how do you recognize an innocent mention? Here are the markers. First, context. The mention is relevant to the story she's telling. She's talking about a work project, and she mentions her male colleague who's also working on it. She's telling you about her weekend, and she mentions her brother or her friend's boyfriend. The guy isn't the focus, he's just part of the scene. Second, tone. There's no emphasis on the mention. She's not watching for your reaction. She's not pausing to see if you'll get jealous. She's not repeating his name or bringing him up multiple times. It's casual. Matter of fact, the same way she'd mention a female friend. Third, balance. She mentions men and women equally. It's not just guys. It's her coworkers, her friends, her family. You're hearing about her social circle, not just the male half of it. When a woman includes you in her world like this, it's actually a good sign. It means she trusts you. She feels comfortable sharing her life with you. She's not filtering or walking on eggshells. That's intimacy building, not interest fading. So how do you respond? Naturally. Engage with the story. Ask follow-up questions if you're interested. Treat it like you would if she mentioned a female friend, because that's what it is. Normal conversation between two people getting to know each other. What you don't do is get weird. Don't go silent. Don't suddenly get cold. Don't interrogate her about who this guy is or why she's talking about him. That reaction tells her you're insecure. And it creates a dynamic where she has to filter everything she says around you, which kills the natural flow of connection. Here's the distinction you need to understand. An innocent mention happens naturally in the flow of conversation. A test mention, that's different. And that brings us to the second type, the attention test. Now here's where it gets more intentional. The attention test is when she mentions another guy specifically to see how you'll react. It's strategic. She's watching, and most men walk right into the trap. So how do you recognize it? Here are the signs. First, she watches your reaction closely. There's a pause after she mentions him. She's studying your face, Your body language, how you respond. That's not accidental. Second, the timing feels deliberate. Things have been going well between you two. You're getting comfortable. And then suddenly, she drops another guy's name into the conversation. That's not random. She's testing whether you're secure or whether comfort has made you complacent. Third, the details are vague, but the mention is emphasized. She doesn't tell you much about who he is or what the context really is. But she makes sure you heard his name. She might even repeat it or bring him up again later to see if your reaction changes. A friend of mine once admitted she did this. She told me, "I mentioned a guy from work just to see if he'd get jealous. I wanted to know if he actually cared or if he was too detached." She wasn't interested in the coworker. She was testing the guy she was dating. Here's the psychology behind it. Women test men to see if you can hold your frame under pressure. She wants to know if you're easily shaken, if you're outcome dependent, if you need constant reassurance that she's yours. Because the man who needs that reassurance, he's not the man she wants long-term. So here's the trap most men fall into. They either overreact with visible jealousy, questions, coldness, or they try way too hard to look unbothered. Both reveal the same thing. You're rattled. The correct response: calm acknowledgement without investment. A simple cool or "that's nice" with genuine disinterest in the drama. You're not ignoring her. You're just not feeding the test. Your energy doesn't change. Your body language stays relaxed. You move the conversation forward naturally. Why does this work? Because it shows her you can't be manipulated by emotional games. You're grounded, secure, unshakable. And that's what passes the test. But here's a mention that means something completely different. The comparison mention. The comparison mention is when she directly or indirectly compares you to other men. And this one reveals where you stand in her mental hierarchy. There are 3 types. Let's break them down. First, the positive comparison. You're different from other guys I've dated. You actually listen. You don't play games. When she says this, she's positioning you above other men in her mind. She's investing interest. This is a good sign. How do you handle it? Accept it gracefully without letting your ego inflate. A simple "I appreciate" that works. Then redirect the conversation forward. Don't dwell on it. Don't fish for more compliments. Just acknowledge and move on. Second, the negative comparison. My ex used to do this. Other guys would handle it this way. She's highlighting something another man did that you're not doing. Or she's framing her ex in a nostalgic tone that suggests you're falling short. Here's where most men mess up. They get defensive. They try to compete. They start proving themselves. That's the wrong move. The right response: set a boundary without defensiveness. Something like, "I'm not here to compete with anyone. I'm just being myself." Calm, firm. No justification. No apology. You're letting her know you're not auditioning for her approval. Third, the neutral comparison. Guys usually don't text back this fast. Most men hate shopping. She's testing to see if you fit the stereotype or if you're different. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's her gauging where you fall. Respond with confidence in who you are. I'm not most men or everyone's different. Don't defend. Don't over-explain. Just own your individuality. Now here's the red flag. If she's constantly comparing you to her ex or other men, especially in a way that makes you feel like you're competing for her approval, she's not over someone. And that's not a dynamic you want to stay in. Comparison mentions should be rare. If they're frequent, pay attention. It means her mind is still somewhere else. and the man who has to constantly prove he's better than someone from her past. He's already lost. But there's another type of mention that's even more revealing. The mate value signal. The mate value signal is when she lets you know that other men are interested in her or pursuing her. This guy at work keeps asking me out. I had to turn down 3 guys this week. She's casually mentioning DMs, attention, compliments from other men. Here's the psychology behind it. She's signaling pre-selection and scarcity. She wants you to see her as valuable and desired. She's testing whether you'll increase your investment when you realize other men want her too. Now here's the tricky part. It's hard to tell if she's sharing genuinely or if she's strategically positioning herself. So you need to read the context. If she's sharing with excitement in her voice, watching for your reaction, she's seeking validation from you. She wants to know you see her value too. If she's sharing matter-of-factly, just telling you about her day without emphasis, she's probably just sharing her reality. She deals with male attention and she's letting you know her world. If she's sharing with frustration or annoyance, she might be fishing for reassurance. She wants you to step up and claim her or at least acknowledge you don't want to lose her. Here's where most men get it wrong. They either get competitive and start chasing harder, or they pull back completely out of insecurity. Both reactions show you're threatened. The right response: maintain your value frame. Something like, "I'm sure you have options." "I do too," said calmly, not defensively. You're acknowledging her reality without acting like you need to compete for her attention. Or you can go with curiosity without being affected. That's cool. How do you handle that? You're engaged but not rattled. You're interested in her experience without making it about your insecurity. Here's why this works. It shows you're not operating from scarcity. You're not desperate to lock her down because you think she might slip away. You're confident in your own value. And that confidence, that's more attractive than any amount of chasing. But here's the reality check. If you find yourself having to chase harder just to keep her interested, you've already lost. A woman who's genuinely into you doesn't need to constantly remind you that other men want her. Now here's where most men completely misread the situation. The disinterest indicator. Now here's the hard truth. Sometimes when a woman mentions other men, it's not a test you can pass. It's a signal that her interest is genuinely shifting away from you. And you need to be able to recognize that. So what are the warning signs? First, the frequency increases over time. She's not mentioning guys occasionally. She's bringing them up more and more. It becomes a pattern you can't ignore. Second, there's emotional investment when she talks about a specific guy. Her voice changes. She lights up. She talks about him with interest or curiosity that she's not showing toward you anymore. Third, she starts creating distance while mentioning him. The texts get shorter. She's less available. She's pulling back emotionally and physically. And his name keeps coming up as if she's already mentally positioning him as a replacement. Fourth, she gets defensive when you ask questions. If you bring it up, she deflects or gets irritated. She makes you feel like you're being paranoid or controlling when you're just noticing an obvious shift. Here's the psychology. She's either exploring other options or she's processing a shift in her feelings. Maybe she's branch swinging. Maybe she's just realized she's not as into you as she thought. Either way, her mind is moving away from you. And here's where most men make the biggest mistake. They try to win her back by giving more attention, more effort, more reassurance. They double down. They chase harder. But here's the reality. Attraction isn't something you can negotiate or convince someone into. If she's genuinely pulling away, more effort just makes you look desperate. So how do you handle this with dignity? You pull back. You match her energy. If she's creating distance, you create space. You stop reaching out. You focus on yourself, not as a game, not to manipulate her, but because you respect yourself enough not to chase someone who's clearly not invested. A simple response if she's being distant. Sounds like you have a lot going on. I'll give you space. Then you actually give her space. No checking in. No breadcrumbing. No trying to stay on her mind. Here's the thing. Sometimes pulling back does create reattraction. Sometimes she realizes what she's losing and comes back, but that's not why you do it. You do it because maintaining your self-respect matters more than keeping someone who doesn't want to be kept. The man who can walk away with dignity. That's the man women never forget. And that brings us to the framework that ties all of this together. Here's the big picture. Stop trying to decode every single mention. The truth is, your response should be the same regardless of her intention. Unshakable calm confidence. That's the framework. Here's how it breaks down. 1. Don't react emotionally in the moment. No jealousy. No interrogation. No visible insecurity. Pause before you respond. Let the emotion pass through you instead of controlling you. 2. Acknowledge without investment. A brief, calm response that doesn't feed drama. You're not ignoring her. You're just not making it a bigger deal than it needs to be. Cool. That's nice. Got it. Then you move forward. 3. Match your energy to the context. If it's an innocent mention, engage naturally. If it's a test, stay unreactive. If it's a concerning pattern, pull back. Let her behavior guide your investment, not your fear of losing her. 4. Trust your gut on patterns. One mention means nothing. A pattern of mentions. Pay attention. Look at her overall behavior, not just her words. Is she investing in you or pulling away? That tells you everything. 5. Never compete or justify yourself. You're not auditioning for her approval. You're not proving you're better than some other guy. The moment you start competing, you've already lost frame. Maintain your abundance mentality. Always. Here's the deeper truth. How you handle these mentions reveals your self-worth. A man who gets rattled by another guy's name. He doesn't believe in his own value. A man who stays calm and grounded. He knows what he brings. And that's what women actually respect. I've seen guys handle this perfectly. Mention comes up. They barely react. They stay present, confident, unbothered. The woman, she respects that. She leans in more. I've also seen guys spiral. One mention and they're asking questions, getting cold, creating tension. The woman, she pulls away because his insecurity is suffocating. Here's the paradox. The less you care about losing her, the less likely you are to lose her. Desperation repels. Confidence attracts. It's that simple. So here's your final principle. Your attention should always mirror her investment. If she's fully present, engaged, invested, match that energy. If she's distant, distracted, mentioning other guys constantly, pull back. Don't chase what isn't chasing you. That's the framework. That's how you win. So here's what it all comes down to. When a woman mentions other men, your response reveals more about your character than her mention reveals about her intentions. The man who can't be rattled by another guy's name, that's the man women respect. That's the man they chase. Women mention other guys for a lot of different reasons. Innocent sharing, testing your frame, comparing you to others, signaling their own value. Sometimes genuine disinterest. But most of the time, it's not even about you. It's about her processing her world, her options, her feelings. Your power doesn't come from controlling what she says. It comes from controlling how you respond. Stay calm. Stay grounded. Don't compete. Don't justify. And never let another man's name shake your confidence. Be the man who's secure enough that he doesn't need constant reassurance. Be the man who knows his worth and doesn't chase validation from anyone. Because that's the difference between men who get played by these dynamics and men who command respect naturally. So the next time she mentions another guy, here's what you do. Pause. Let the emotion pass. Respond with calm confidence. Trust your instincts about what kind of mention it is. And most importantly, maintain your self-respect no matter what. Your silence. Your calmness. Your refusal to compete. That's real power. That's what makes you unforgettable. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a woman mention other guys to test you or make you jealous? How did you handle it? What did you learn from that experience? Drop your story in the comments. I'll be reading and replying because these conversations matter. This is where real growth starts. With the truth. If this helped you see these situations more clearly, hit subscribe and share this with a brother who needs it. Let's build a community of men who understand the game and play it with integrity. Don't chase validation. Be the validation. That's how you win.